You're listening to the Gather Gurus podcast, the show for marketers and event leaders who want to create experiences people actually remember. We talk experiential marketing, event strategy, and modern attendee engagement. Today's episode is brought to you by GoGather, your experts in event management and strategy. Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Gather Gurus podcast. My name is Brian. I'm the CEO of GoGather, and I'm excited today. There's so many fun things that we get to talk about when it comes to meetings and events, all kinds of different strategies and creative ideas and that sort of stuff. But one of the most fun things for us, especially, is that team building. It's something every company is trying to get right. We have an opportunity. We bring everybody together, one place, one time. How do we scale across different cities, different countries, different cultures, all of those sorts of things? And so today we're talking with somebody that's been focused on this for over a decade. Ido is the founder and CEO of Strayboots, a global team building company operating in 30 countries and our newest affiliate partner. Ido, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you for having me, Brian. I'm really excited to be here.
So, amazing stuff. Please.
So I'm the founder of Strayboots. We run team building events, CSR programs, and group experiences for companies around the world. We mostly focus on conferences, offsites, and large groups. Mm-hmm. One of the things we are most proud of is, of course, the feedback that we get from the field, the reviews, people sharing their experiences and talking about it internally after. But what we really focus on is creating experiences that people don't just attend, but also remember after. So, that's what really makes the difference between a good event and a great one.
Yeah, incredible. And the idea that you're doing this internationally, 30 countries, super impressive. You've been building this for what, 10 years now? What was sort of your original vision, and how did you decide to go international?
Yeah, so it's a funny story because we actually started as a scavenger hunt company. And early on we saw how powerful that format is, when people are moving, collaborate, compete, and it naturally breaks barriers. But as we started growing, especially globally, the challenge changed. And today we operate in more than 300 cities worldwide. And once you get into that level, it's not just about creating something fun. It's about delivering something that is consistent everywhere. Because, clients, they want to feel just as strong in New York or, as it does in Lisbon or London, but still get those, that feeling local. Mm-hmm. So we built a lot of structure around that, on how we design, how we adapt to each location, and how we execute on the ground.
Yeah, amazing. I mean, the idea, like you said, creating consistency across countries and across cultures is another one, right? What hits in the US might be a little different than certainly what hits in Europe or Asia. How do you go about that? I mean, you're not just an order taking company at that point, right? Somebody says we want to do a team building. There's a lot of options out there. How do you approach the right experience for each client?
Yeah, so I think the first thing is that you are not just delivering an activity, all right? You are responsible for a full experience. And for us, it all starts with understanding the group, because you can run the exact same activity for two different companies and you get two completely different results. So, we look at what the group needs. Is it the energy, better communication, maybe, getting people out of their usual circles? And then we build around it. When it's done right, you see right away, people start interacting more, opening up, working together in a different way. And that carries back into the workspace. Communication improves, people feel more comfortable with each other. It's not just a one-time moment. And then, the other thing is we always look for, people that are, they're still talking about it afterward. That's what we, that's what we look for when in our events, sharing photos, sharing videos, I don't know, laughing about what happened, who did what. And that's when, that it actually worked.
Yeah, absolutely. And in doing so, getting people, like you've said, into conversations and interacting, that sort of thing, what sort of tools does that take? And how do you develop those tools and that content where you are allowing people to engage in that way?
So we started, developing our own technology over the years, but we also use the best tools out there in the market, to make sure that everything runs consistently. And the big thing for us is customization. Because every event is different. Different groups, different goals, different location. So the tech allows us to tailor each experience while still keeping everything structured and smooth. So, from the client side, it feels simple, but behind the scenes, that's what allows us to deliver something that feels customized and not off the shelf.
Okay. Yeah, and that's interesting because we actually run into clients that, because of technologies, and this is not just in team building, but other parts of events as well. But within team building, there are technologies where, maybe people are led to believe that, hey, this is a DIY sort of thing that you can do. You can do it yourself. All you got to do is implement this technology and host your own scavenger hunt or that sort of thing. How do you think about that? How do you discuss that with clients? And what's the difference between me just going and grabbing something off the shelf and just allowing my people to go out and utilize that versus you guys helping me with a custom experience?
So I think, we try to work with the client. We work with them on, what their needs are. We start with that, and then we take it from there and we develop the idea. It's not just about, making it fun. It's about making something meaningful for the group. And, we have our facilitators, they are a huge part of, what makes everything work and click. They are not just there to run an activity. They drive the entire experience for the client. They bring the energy, they read the room, they can, get people involved, and, you feel it, that, the room just comes alive when they do it. And beyond that, they are also there for the client. Something comes up, I don't know, timing, flow, even things that are not directly related to us, they step in and help, make sure everything runs smoothly for the client. So, it's not just about, taking care of the customization and wrapping the idea of the event and the goals around it, but also providing the facilitators, which are not just facilitators. They, really an integral part of the overall event execution.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think so often when people think about the DIY option, they forget to imagine themselves in their own shoes once they're on site, right? This idea that they're going to be pulled in a million different directions. They're going to have different stakeholders, that sort of thing. So having a dedicated and experienced team that is focused on something as important as your team building program, those facilitators who understand sort of best practices, who understand, like you said, how to bring the energy and how to get people excited. And in a lot of ways, I feel like it gives people permission to break out of their shells a little bit. If my boss is the facilitator, I've got maybe a certain way that I'm accustomed to behaving around my boss, and maybe I'm not going to be quite as natural. And so that's what we've seen with your facilitators and these sorts of programs in general, is that, yeah, they really, like you said, bring that energy, but also bring the just overall enjoyment of the attendees up, as well as then allow those stakeholders to continue to focus on the overall results, right? Rather than, did I remember to set this particular prize or map or whatever it might be, right? That your facilitators are so busy doing all of the time. So it's amazing to have people like that on site. And again, especially across multiple countries, cultures, time zones, all of that sort of thing. And so often when companies think about team building, there's some assumptions baked in, similar to what we just talked about with DIY. What are some of the misconceptions that you most often see when people are thinking about team building?
So I think the main misconception is that, it needs to be all about fun, So I think, it's not just about that. It's bigger than just making sure that the team is having fun. For us, it starts, like I said, it starts with the understanding of the group, because you want to make sure that things are done right, and you want to make sure that we are not just running an activity just for a purpose of filling a specific need or a specific filling the agenda for that specific event. So it really needs to be a combination of things, and a combination of goals and ideas that teams are trying to achieve while they're doing it. Sometimes it can be just for fun. Fun is important. I think we see a lot of people thinking like I said, just filling a hole in their agenda.
Right.
What companies really looking for is something that creates real connection between people, something that feels meaningful, not just entertaining. It's important, but it's not the most important thing. And that's why CSR has become such a big part of what we do, because now you are not just doing something together, you are also contributing to something bigger,
right?
And that changes how people experience it. So it's a mix of fun and also contributing and doing something good and getting something meaningful from the experience.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. As much as we want to entertain and sort of knock the socks off of our attendees at every given opportunity, they're well educated. They sort of understand that. They see the big flash, and they understand why it's there and what it's for. And when they're able to actually connect on a deeper level, like you mentioned, with like a CSR, or have the opportunity to maybe leave a place a little bit better than the way they found it when they're coming into maybe some of these new locations for them, that sort of thing. I think that's really good. How do you think about balancing that with the business goals, though? If we're there to encourage higher sales or encourage a stronger partnership network or dealer network, how do you balance those two things?
Yeah, I agree. It really comes down to getting the balance right. You want people to enjoy the experience or the activity. That's what pulls them in. Right. But you also want them to have a meaning, and you want it to fit into a bigger picture of the event. So when those things come together, it doesn't feel like a separate activity anymore. It just feels like something that is part of the overall experience, and that's when it really works.
Do you have any of your favorite examples of like a CSR really just done right, or just a really moving moment, maybe that wasn't even planned but just sort of came from one of these team building events?
Yeah, I think one of the recent CSR programs, and it's also not just CSR, it's also an ESG, something that you can that you can measure for the companies, is a partnership that we have with an organization called Solar Buddy. So Solar Buddy is an Australian-based charity organization, and they provide solar lights for kids who live in areas with energy poverty. So we work with them for a long time, and we see how So part of the program is talking about extreme energy poverty, connecting them to the cause, and getting them to know more about this. But on the other hand, it's also giving them the opportunity to assemble solar solutions, whether it's a small solar light or a bigger solar panel or a group activity that they need to do. So so it's a CSR experience that connects them to the actual cause and to the bigger problem that we have, with millions of people living in extreme energy poverty and around the world, but also gives them the opportunity to engage, interact with other people, and getting something physical to do. And it's not about getting something back to you. It's not something to take home, but it's something that they feel they donated and they feel they were part of making a change. That's why we call every participant, we call them agents of change, because that's a great contribution to that purpose.
Yeah, amazing. What about ideas like we talked about a little bit earlier, when we're doing team building across countries or cultures or time zones? Have you dealt with that before? I mean, obviously we think about it as, hey, we have everybody here in the same place at the same time, and that's a little bit more straightforward. But what about if we have teams that are maybe spread across multiple locations? How do you deal with that sort of thing?
Yeah, I think I can give you like a real world example that we just had in partnership with Go Gather in Lisbon, in Portugal. It's a great example of how a global program should work. For example, in this one, we took a scavenger hunt, something we've done thousands of times before, but we adapted it to the destination. We brought in jeeps, we brought in local routes, local food, all kinds of fun challenges that are tied to the environment. So the structure was familiar, but the experience felt completely unique to that location. Of course, we also had strong communication between our team, your team, the client. So everything was aligned before and during the event. And, I think having someone local on the ground make a big difference. Being able to adjust things in real time, keep things flowing, making everything feel seamless for the client. So when the group arrived, it just worked. People got into it quickly. The energy was high, and it felt like a natural part of the trip. Not something that was separate or embedded or added in on top of what they do. And after, people were still talking about it, sharing moments and photos, and that's really the outcome that you're looking for.
Yeah, it was an amazing experience, and I'd echo that. We'd heard for several weeks after the fact how much everybody enjoyed it and what a great impact it had. So Ido, tell me a little bit more about yourself. We kind of started with that 30 countries. Where 10 years you've been at this? Where in the heck in the world are you? Where do you spend most of your time? Tell me a little bit more about yourself.
So a little bit about myself. So other than being a founder and the CEO of Strayboots, and working with people, and maybe it's because I'm working with people, also an international tackle and flag football referee.
All right.
I think it comes, it fits right into what I'm doing, working with people and engaging with them globally, whether it's in the US or in Germany or France or Serbia or wherever. There's a tournament around the globe. And that's what we are also, as a company, trying to achieve, trying to open up new markets, whether it's in the US, Europe, Australia, Asian markets, trying to not just assist our clients with customized and local activities and locations, but also bringing in local charities and local foundations and international foundations that can help companies contribute on a bigger level. So, as a company, we always try to, grow and add more partners and get to as many people as we can. So, we can, fun is important.
Yeah.
That's what brings people in. But eventually, what matters is creating something that, people can, connect through, something that they remember, talk about, look back on, and, just bringing smiles. That's the most important thing that in what we do. That's when the experience really worked.
Yeah. Amazing. I didn't know that about you. Flag football and tackle referee. Well, funny story. I was actually just looking, you may know I'm here in Southern California, and we've got the LA 2028 games coming. Yeah. And so I was just on the first ticket drop and actually ended up with some flag football tickets. So we're really excited to host the LA 2028 games. And I actually think in us talking, it's going to be a great opportunity for us to come out here and welcome some groups and some folks as they're coming out to LA for the games and help them create experiences where they can maybe get a little taste of what it's like to be an Olympic athlete.
Absolutely. Yeah. They, come, teams coming in from all over the world to, experience exactly the same, stuff we just talked about, something that is local,
Right.
Not just teams from the US, but teams from all over the globe. And yeah, flag football is a new sport to this, in LA 28, first time that I hope it will, stick to the next ones. But yeah, it should be fun.
Well, I hope to see you out there on the field. That would be amazing. Well, very good, Ido. I really appreciate you joining me this week. How did folks get a hold of you?
So we can be reached at our website, www.strayboots.com. They can check out the experiences that we have online. They can reach out to us over the phone. If anyone wants to email me directly so we can communicate on a personal level, my email is Ido, I-D-O, @strayboots.com. I'll be more than happy to speak with anyone looking for experiences and making, their teams better and, having fun, because that's also important.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Ido. It's been a pleasure. I didn't get that answer. Where are you? Is it dark out? Are you in Europe?
Yeah, it's I'm in the Middle East right now. In between travels for Middle East, Europe, and the US. So,
well, thank you for
working around the clock for different clients. Working around the clocks, yeah.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Ido. Have a good one.